SDGC episode 162. What's up? All right, there we go.
Okay.
We're good now. How is everybody tonight?
Y'all, it is the dawn of it is the night of the final day before video game deluge.
I was thinking about this earlier, Reb. I've got Link's Awakening downloading on my Switch right now. I was gonna pick it up physically tomorrow, but I literally can't wait that long. It's my most anticipated game this year. I have to pick it up tonight. I have to play it tonight. And yeah, I can't fucking wait. The Goose game is coming out tomorrow. Sayonara
Wild Hearts.
I know the name, and I'm like, fucking.
It's not Wild Guns, and it's not Wild.
Yeah,
Arms.
I
Wild
like
Wild Hearts.
Sayonara Wild Arms comes out today.
Yes, Sayonara Wild
God.
What else?
Y'all want to hear? You want to hear a real nice sound? A sound that I've been waiting for a long time. Listen to this.
I love it.
I'm so happy, guys. I'm so happy.
Reb, do you want to kick us off by talking a little bit about Untitled Goose Game?
Yeah, I've played like all of 10 minutes of it. I got sent a code just like a little bit early. No one emailed me an embargo, so I guess I'm just gonna. I've only played like the same area that's been in the demos though, so I'm not worried about it. It's out tomorrow. It's by House, the same. What?
I was just gonna say nobody tell anybody for 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean, like, what am I gonna say? You play a goose, like whatever. Anyway, I've played it for like all of like 10 minutes or whatever before the podcast, and it's like so far exactly as charming as I wanted it to be. Like it's just stupid. I can't get over like the way the little goose waddles, like his butt wiggles when he waddles, and like I don't know, it's just like kind of random, but every so often he has a little animation that triggers where his tail goes boom. And he honks, and it's just I have been so excited for this game ever since they announced it, and especially like this year. So like I've been playing nothing but like nice. I played Fire Emblem, but other than that, I've played like nothing but really wholesome, like sweet, non-violent indies this year, and it's been wonderful. And I don't know, I feel like the industry is a hellscape sometimes, and I have to report on it. But
I'm sorry, sometimes
a lot. But all this is a video game about being an obnoxious goose.
Loose goose.
Like it's not a Nazi goose. It's not a violent goose. It's not a racist goose.
He's an asshole goose. He's just kind of
he's
abrasive.
He's just kind of a jerk, but he's a goose. And he doesn't know any better.
He's a cheeky goose.
Like even the gardener just kind of like looks at you when you're not doing anything and just regards you with like, it's a goose. And so it's just it warms my heart. And House, in the 10 minutes of the game I've played has done a wonderful job. So
do you have any sense of how long the game actually is?
I have no sense.
20 hours.
20 hours.
Yeah, it's 20 hours. Yeah, skill trees in that game are wild.
Zach, would you like the sequel to become like a big open world Breath of the Wild style, like Untitled Goose sequel? Like
no, I was hoping like a more like reflective God of War style.
Like the goose, like 5 years later, has seen some shit, and he's got a little gosling, and he's trying to raise his gosling as a noble goose warrior.
No, not derivative. It's got to be a deconstruction.
I will shamelessly self-promote just a little bit. So I had an article go up on gamesindustry.biz this morning. It's an interview with 2 of the 4 members of House about Untitled Goose Game. I'm really proud of it. You should go read it. But one of the things about that interview that I loved is they told me, like, when they were conceiving of this game, before they got to the goose part, they were thinking, okay, well, we want to do maybe like a 3D Mario kind of thing. That's what we want to do. And they were they ended up getting the goose idea, and they were like coming up with all these things. And in its very earliest stages, Untitled Goose Game was supposed to be like a GTA style game, but you were a goose. So like
I was gonna say like
love
the
that
sequel should be like Grand Theft Auto. What the?
Yeah, it was supposed to be like this really busy like fairground, like a town fair or something, with all these just like random people, and you were just supposed to go around and like trash the fairground or whatever.
That sounds fucking awesome.
Goose Theft Auto, guys. Goose Theft Auto.
That sounds fucking outstanding.
The lawyers are already.
Anyway,
that's the sequel I want. I mean, there's a lot, there's a lot to celebrate this week. It's been a busy week, right? Like we've had some ups and downs. So this week we've got, like Reb said, a deluge of games dropping tomorrow. Everything from Goose Game, Sayonara Wild Hearts dropped today, Link's Awakening. There's a bunch of other stuff dropping.
Literally everything on Apple Arcade.
Everything on Apple Arcade. And I feel like now, like tomorrow is literally the official, the opening of the floodgates for the fall season. A couple other things happened. I want to congratulate my young adult gaming son Zach here on getting hitched.
Yes.
He married.
Zach is now a gaming husband.
It's true.
Oh.
So does this make her my gaming daughter-in-law? Is the question.
I don't know. That feels.
I would prefer
weird.
not to think of it that way.
Yeah.
That sounded like a unanimous no.
No. Zach, are you happy, bud?
I'm very happy.
There you go. That's there
Like
you go,
I dropped this in chat earlier, but today I put some mortar in
weird.
on some bricks, so you know. Yeah.
Is that what you call it?
That's awesome.
What?
Put some caulk on some mortar.
Yeah, I know.
you
He's
know.
talking some mortar.
Yeah, mortar work, you know.
Got it, Zach.
Imran
Laying it
says.
down.
I didn't think this was that kind of podcast, but
Imran in chat. No, it's yeah. Imran in chat says the lighting in Zach's room makes it look like the long hallway behind him is that he's the director of the
no.
Federal
Zach,
Bureau
you
of
actually need to
Control.
take your microphone and turn your chair backwards and do the entire podcast facing away from us.
Let's basically facing a corner. It's because I just moved into this house and I am not settled in, so I am sitting in a chair in the corner.
What else happened this week? I had my first article published on IGN, to which the response
You
was
braggart.
Nobody
divisive.
cared. Nobody even
a
read it.
divisive response, to say the least. And also, guys, my dog is okay.
your dog is okay.
There's
My
a real-
dog is fine. My dog is going to live and grow old to be healthy.
Did you kiss
and-
Moozle on the noozle for me?
Oh fuck yeah, I did, dude. That's
Good.
the first thing I did when I got home. I could not be happier. And of course, the Switch Lite comes out tomorrow, and I will have mine coming in the mail. And I'm thinking about doing an unboxing and giving some impressions on the on you know the weight, the mouthfeel maybe of the Switch Lite.
You gonna lick it?
You know,
What
it's-
parts of it are you gonna lick?
As much as I can from top to bottom. Like it's just I'm gonna lick that thing all over.
I don't
ASMR,
like this
John licking
either.
a Switch 12 hours. Yeah.
I'm
No.
That's gonna be the new
Don't
gift.
Don't say
That's-
no.
I'm gonna have Julian gif it, just grabbing that Switch Lite. That's gonna be the new SDGC gif right there. I'm telling you, it's the new hotness.
This
So-
podcast is a sin.
This podcast is awesome, Zach, and you fucking
Zach,
know
just
it.
because you're the Federal Bureau Director of Control doesn't mean you can control our sexuality.
I know. I just need a fucking cigarette and a red phone.
I don't know. Waypoint
Red phone
in
and
chat.
cigar. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Waypoint in chat says lick the Switch on camera and he'll contribute to the Patreon. So here's two things about that. One, he
Okay.
just outed himself as already not contributing to the Patreon. So thanks a lot, Waypoint. And two, if you contribute to the Patreon, I will
Okay.
absolutely lick a Switch on camera.
First of all, no. Also, please support us on Patreon if you can. If you can't, that's okay.
We're not
John
here
will not
contribution
leverage.
shame.
John, you
John-
cannot.
John is
Oh,
literally
she
gonna
did it.
lick a Switch
Rep just
right
licked
now.
the Switch.
Reb did it for free.
Rep did it for free.
That's free, baby.
Hold up.
Support SDGC.
Hey, can we talk about what games we've been playing besides
Oh,
the Goose?
yeah, fine. Like,
Do you want me to lick? Do you want me to lick my Switch too?
Yes, I do actually. I do.
I'm unhappy.
You know what? I'm getting my Switch. Hold on. I'm getting my
God
Switch.
damn it, guys! Zach, what are you
I'm
playing?
gonna.
Can I lick
No,
my
what are you
Vita?
playing? Zach, what are you playing?
I just played some of the cross-play
We're
beta.
just
With,
gonna talk through this. Just talk through it.
I played cross-play Call of
that's not
Duty
great.
with Justin earlier. He was on
Busting a bad boy out
PlayStation
right now.
and I was on the Xbox.
Was that
And
nice?
yeah, it was kind of like Yoshida and Phil Spencer. They did a smooch. It was nice.
You guys
Are
in
we
chat,
so-
look at
so
this.
Are you Phil Spencer in this?
Look at this
Yes.
bad boy. Do you guys want this? Everybody in chat, do
No.
you want this?
Stop.
Do you want that? Yeah.
Are
Is
you-
that is
John,
Zach,
this
are
isn't
you
good
Phil
radio.
Spencer?
Yeah, this isn't good radio, John.
no? This is great. Here we go. Ready? There we go. Look at that.
I'll
Oh,
quit this
oh,
fucking podcast. I don't need this.
I've probably got hepatitis now, but it's fine.
What was on your Switch that gave you
I don't know. I don't know
hepatitis?
where this.
What the fuck?
Who knows?
Where has your
Jesus.
Switch been?
I hope somebody in chat screen cap that or gift it, by the
Jesus.
way. I'm going to tweet that all over the fucking Twitterverse. That's going to be great. All right, guys, video games. What are we talking about first?
We're
Okay.
talking about how Zach is Phil Spencer.
Yes.
Yes.
You missed that conversation because
Yeah.
you were busy getting hepatitis from your Switch.
Yeah.
It was worth it. I have to sacrifice my health for
Well,
views. And
Listen,
Patreon.
I'm gonna keep it brief. Justin and I played the Modern Warfare beta, and we ended the game with a 69-69 tie.
Nice.
So
Nice.
the game seems fine. I mean, it's a fucking Call of Duty. It seems fine. I've also been playing Gears of War because it's still a good game where you shoot stuff and it goes.
Can I get that again, please? Thank you.
But I played a little Sayonara Wild Hearts, which I know Justin has been playing too.
I actually finished it already. So
yeah, that game is good as
it's
hell.
an hour long.
Yeah, that game is good as hell. What have other people been playing? Brandon, what have you been playing? Is it still Final Fantasy?
No.
Oh?
I've been digging into it's Final Fantasy related or somewhat adjacent, let's say.
Yeah, it's in the same sphere.
Yeah. I mean, it was okay. So anyway, it's Near Automata.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah.
Oh,
Getting
I want to
back
hear
in-
about this.
Oh yeah, I got
I'm
lots. to
so
say
glad
about
you
it.
love this game, Brandon.
I played like 15 hours. I'm starting to see where it's going. Anyway, so they're doing the Final Fantasy 14 crossover raid with Nier, and it's coming out next month.
What's
So
it called,
because-
Brandon? Dark Future?
Yorha Dark Apocalypse.
Dark Apocalypse, okay.
Yep.
Mm.
And they talked a little bit about it at TGS and stuff. Anyway, so it got me to play Nier Automata, which I put a couple hours into when it came out, and then just didn't feel like finishing it. So yeah, I've been, kicking myself for not doing that. Big time, because the game is amazing.
Doesn't
Honestly,
that soundtrack
It is not,
slap?
as will not be a surprise to anyone that actually played it back then. Yeah, the soundtrack is what the hell? I don't even know.
Oh no, the soundtrack, Brandon, is literally like if you had to ask me what my top 3 OSTs this generation were, like Nier would be in the top 2.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's incredible.
I'm a sucker for a good choir and shit. Like,
Oh god, it's good.
Brandon, when you fought the Siren boss, like
Yeah,
I loved
yeah.
your react. Yeah.
yeah, that boss is nuts. Because so here's the thing, like I am not like completely ignorant of all of the things that Nier Automata does like uniquely and what makes it special. Like I read all the threads on NeoGAF when it came out and stuff, and I've read all the threads on Era since. And like I know the soundtrack's amazing. Like I know it's got a lot of variety in the gameplay with like top-down shooter parts and side-scrolling parts and character action parts and stuff like that. Like I knew all that was in the game, which is why I gave it a chance in the first place. But I don't know. I was just still busy with Overwatch or some shit back then.
I played the first level of Nier, and I thought it was fine. That's all I got.
Yeah, the first level sucked.
It's definitely not for everybody.
The
like,
first
I'll-
level just actually isn't good. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe it is like on future playthroughs, but as an opening to your first playthrough, it actually sucks. But whatever.
I'll say this much: the B opening playthrough is completely different. Zach, go ahead.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
exactly.
I was just gonna say I bought it on Xbox One, so at least somebody bought that port a year and a half later.
Zach was one of
yeah.
5.
Yeah, well, that's all right. But I don't know, Derek, what have you been playing, bud?
A couple things. So, obviously, I'm still playing Monster Hunter World Iceborne, and I'll be playing that game for several months. I already went all over that last show. I did start a fresh playthrough of the original Mass Effect because I've started streaming I was going to do the whole trilogy.
Nice.
And it has been lovely to go back to. It's like meeting an old friend all over again. I really like it's. I sometimes kind of laugh how Shinobi is like obsessed with Mass Effect, and yet I'm like 2 play sessions in, and I almost want to play nothing but Mass Effect. It's so good.
I went back to that game, so like I actually didn't play it, and then I played it 2 years ago, which is really late after I played Mass Effect 2 and 3. And it really makes you feel bad for all the times that I was like, oh, Ashley seems like a character worth saving, and then you're like, oh no, she sucks, actually.
She's
She's
just
the worst.
straight up good old can of diet racism going on.
Yeah. Yeah.
Diet?
Diet racism.
Diet.
That feels like a Trudeau fucking...
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. It's a little more than the diet racism.
Poor
But
Jeff.
But yeah, so Mass Effect, I've been playing through, and then just today I got started on the original Gears of War. I subscribed to Game Pass for PC because Zach was talking about Gears 5 being so good, and I was like, well, I can get in on the Game Pass for PC beta, and I made a wish list of a bunch of games I want to play, and I'm playing Gears 1. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to look up the plot summaries on Wikipedia for 2 and 3 since they're not available, and then move on to 4 and then 5.
I wonder if there's any emulators that would let you do it 360.
I don't
No,
think so.
not
Yeah,
yet.
I don't think so.
Yeah, but it's all
Carney.
good. But yeah, so I've
Yeah.
Mass Effect, loving it. Gears of War original, I'm not far in. It's a good, fun, competent kind of like story-free shooter. I'm actually really
that's
curious.
The thing, like, Gears 1 kicks off real fast, whereas
Yeah,
Gears 5,
I like the dude's in jail. I got no idea why he's in jail. Everybody just understands things that I don't, and I feel like I should.
It's just
Like,
okay, go.
Gears feels plot free, basically, to me so far. So it's going to be talking about so far in the original game. But that's the thing, is it's going to be interesting to see how that evolves across the first game and then jumps from the first game to like the fourth and fifth. How big that series changes. So I'm curious. I'm going to be there. I'm here for it.
The first game has no storytelling ambition whatsoever.
At all.
Hey, you go to your dad's house. You go to your dad's house. That's the narrative.
Wait, they're both alive?
Every time I go to my dad's house,
They're
that's
both
now
alive?
a narrative.
Did you say that you go to your mom's house and your dad's house?
No, just your dad's house.
Just your dad's house.
Wow.
Yeah. No, please, it's Gears. It's
Thanks
the
for
first
telling
Gears.
me that my parents are
Oh,
divorced.
parents
Gears,
are
we
alive?
don't-
That is
we
a
don't-
story.
Yeah, no, we don't talk about women in the first Gears.
There's one woman. There's one woman in the first Gears of War, and so far, and she exists to get a little blood splattered on her, and then to freak out and go, "We gotta go. There's violence here."
No, that's accurate. That's
Sounds
accurate.
about-
Fuck.
That is what women do. Yes.
Yeah. So.
But it's nice to see how far the franchise has come now.
That's true.
Yeah, and you know what? Pour one out for the Carmines,
I laughed my ass off when I saw Carmine in Gears 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. Yeah, they keep them going through. Justin, what you been playing, bud?
Yeah, so like Zach mentioned, we've been playing the Modern Warfare beta. I've been playing that quite a past couple weekends while it's been live. We're going to talk more about that, I think we're going to record a little something else for that, but I want to talk about Sayonara Wild Hearts because
Please.
people that have been listening have known I've been really looking forward to this game ever since I played the demo at PAX East.
I remember you walking away from that demo just enraptured.
I had such a huge smile on my face, and the final game absolutely delivered. So yeah, the game is only about hour to an hour and a half max. So I got to play through the whole thing this afternoon, which was awesome. I didn't think I'd have much time to play before the show or anything tonight, but I got to finish it. And it's so good. For those of you that don't know what it is, so it's from Simogo, is the developer, and Annapurna Interactive is the publisher. Annapurna's been on a very, very hot streak for the past couple of years. I've enjoyed pretty much everything that they've put out. But what it is a rhythm action game that's entirely choreographed to a pop album, and is kind of an homage to like Astrology and Sailor Moon and stuff like that. Not the type of thing that normally would jump out as my kind of thing, but it's so much fun. I've wanted games that like really sync. Like I love it when the music is very well synced with the action, and like this game, it's kind of brilliantly designed in a way so like you're pretty much in full control almost every time, but like what your controls do and how you need to respond like changes constantly with the music, and yet you can almost intuit what you need to do. So like you'll be free flying in some levels, then jumping down onto a motorcycle, and then getting in dance-offs with rival gangs and stuff, and it's and the whole thing's constantly just building until you get like into the big boss fight stages, which are those are the vocal tracks. So the vocals kick in when you get to the bosses. It's just a very fun, exciting thing. It's available right now on PS4, Switch, and on Apple Arcade.
Yeah.
And I recommend you play it wherever you can use the best headphones that you have, because the music's excellent. I'm definitely gonna buy the soundtrack.
I'm actually firing it up right after the podcast. Like
it just put a smile on my face for the whole time it lasted. It's a really cool game.
Awesome.
And I found it really memorable, really unique. Highly recommend it.
Thanks, Justin. I love it when you get so happy about games. I love it when you do.
Thanks.
Sorry, I don't know.
Sorry,
I
sorry.
love it too.
I was.
I
was
get that
half
way. I get like really exuberant when a game makes me just super duper happy inside, and so do you. And so it's like, oh, yay.
Yeah, it's just like I also I just want to kind of go off on a tangent, but like this is the type of game that I'm really glad that like, you know, more diverse creators are making stuff, because like if you told me that one of my favorite games this year was going to be a magical girl pop album music video, essentially, like that's not the type of music I usually listen to. That's not the sort of thing that, you know, comes from my background. But once I found it, it really clicked with me. And so like I'm really glad there's still an avenue. There is becoming more avenues for stuff like this.
This
Also,
podcast is full of games today whose soundtracks
Yeah.
I want on Spotify. I want the Nier soundtrack on Spotify. I want the Sayonara Wild Hearts soundtrack on Spotify. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I really want the Goose Game soundtrack on Spotify because I want to listen to like that silent film piano music going on while I'm working.
Also, yeah, by the way, it's some real tonal shift going immediately from Sayonara Wild Hearts to Call of Duty. Like, because that's what I did this evening.
Who's next? John, what are you playing?
Is it me? Is it my turn?
Yeah.
So it's been a rough couple of weeks for us here. You know, Moo has been, you know, we had that whole cancer scare with Moo, and you know, Vicky's health hasn't been great with her ankle and her head, and you know, it's just been a dour couple of weeks here. So I'll tell you this much: Super Nintendo games on Switch came along right when I needed them, and I have already played through for like the 38th time each, Super Metroid, Super Mario World, Yoshi's Island. It was like eating chicken soup. Like it was warm. It was like putting a fuzzy blanket on, Reb, and sitting on the couch on my Switch and just playing games that made me feel safe again and were familiar, and I knew exactly what to do. I knew the kind of responses they were going to evoke, not just in my mind but in my heart, because I have so many fond memories of playing these games during a time period of my life where things were difficult, and that's really just what I needed right now. I needed to play Super Nintendo games on my Switch, and I was able to do that. And I'm gonna play more. I fucking love it. I could not be happier about Super Nintendo on Switch. And I've also been playing River City Girls, which is one of the most beautifully animated pixel games I have ever seen. And if you have not played it, or you're not interested in side-scrolling 2D beat 'em ups, at the very least, when you're driving, put that soundtrack on in the car, because it fucking slaps. That soundtrack, Derek knows what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That soundtrack is fucking incredible.
I want that on Spotify.
Dude, it's fucking awesome. And also, the last thing I'll mention, because, excuse me. And I've been playing a lot of Collection of Mana. I'm like 70 hours in. I've played through Final Fantasy Legends. I've played through Secret of Mana. And now I am like literally at the final boss of my second Trials of Mana run. Great collection. But also this week, my wife and I Vicky picked up Borderlands 3. Because she wanted we wanted a co-op game to play. And I'll tell you this much.
You gonna tell us as much?
The shooting feels much better than Borderlands 2 did. I put more hours in
God,
Borderlands.
I would hope so. How many years has it been?
And that was the one problem that a lot of people had. It's been a long time. It's been like, no,
I hope the shooting's better. 7
years. It's been 7 years since Borderlands 2, and the shooting feels a lot better. That's not a very low bar, because Borderlands 2 shooting was kind of sucked.
Yeah. And you know what, John? It's great to hear the humor has really evolved alongside, right?
So let me tell you. So that was my other thing. And literally everybody I've spoken to, from my friends to my own brother, agree with me that the humor is total garbage. It sucks. It is abrasive to the point where every time a joke is made, I want to roll my head up in a car window every time I hear a joke in Borderlands 3. And I think part of that has to do with the fact that, say what you want about the humor in 2, but Handsome Jack was a very well-written, like you love to hate him kind of villain.
I don't
even
have to
better,
say-
Tales from the Borderlands too.
I don't have to say anything about Borderlands 2 that game didn't already do to itself. They've renamed an enemy Boner Farts
Yeah, boner
partway
farts.
through the
Yeah, I
game,
remember
which is
boner
like,
farts.
all right, cool. Then you've got a 6-year-old on the writing staff.
At
But
least Handsome Jack was the most interesting character in the game.
For sure.
The
Like
villain,
120%.
dude. What was that? What was that, Brandon?
Like 120%. Nobody even
Oh,
close.
then
Yeah,
again,
no,
he
like,
also had
yeah,
a pony made of diamonds that he named Butt
Named
Stallion.
Butt Stallion.
So
Like
Stallion,
he
that's the
was
classic.
the best character in the game, and he was, I consider, one of the best characters of Last Generation.
Oh, come on.
I fucking love
Handsome-
Handsome Jack.
I think Handsome Jack's one of my favorite villains ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
Having said
All
that,
right. I'll...
what's that? What's that, Zach?
I just wonder, with Borderlands 3, can you treat it like Ghost Recon Wildlands AI, who said shitballs every other couple words? Can you just like mute the in-game audio and then just make it a podcast game or something? Like?
I've been doing that on the occasions I haven't been playing with Vicky. I just literally turn the volume down as low as it can get without, like, I can still hear contextual things like environmental noises or bullets, but I don't have to listen to the fucking garbage. But I'll say this: the villains are the absolute worst. Like, if gaming was a pale, lifeless ass,
which it is.
then the Borderlands 3 villains would be the biggest pimple on the right cheek. They're YouTubers. They're literally streamers. And one of them says, "Remember to like, subscribe, and obey." And every time she says it, I want to fucking crawl into a hole and light myself on fire. It's awful.
So this is like a whole team of screwballs.
Reb, please.
So, two things. One really short one on that. I have not played this game. I played like a brief demo, whatever. I have read some criticism, and my impression of this is that there could have been a lot of potential for having like streamers basically as the villains. And like that is a concept. If someone said, yeah, and the villains are YouTube streamers, and it like has and if someone said there's a whole bunch of commentary on that kind of culture and stuff, and why it's maybe not great sometimes, I would have been really interested. But it sounds like Borderlands didn't deliver, which does not surprise me. Anyway, the thing that I really wanted to point to is there is a really great article went up on VG 24/7 yesterday. It's by Jeremy Peel. It's called "Borderlands Has a Problem with Dwarfism and Disability."
Yes.
I'm not going to read that article to you, but I recommend that you go read it because I've played like a minimal amount of the first game and a small amount of the second game as well, and that was one of the things that always kind of like rubbed me the wrong way when I was playing those games. And he Peel really articulated it well in that article.
And it's not gonna make you feel any better. They don't honestly. They don't treat dwarfism in Borderlands 3 than they did in Borderlands 2. Like in Borderlands 2, like they called them like they were midgets. They were like psycho midgets and stuff. And I was like, that's not great. And so for Borderlands 3, Gearbox said, okay, well, we're gonna take a different approach, right? We're gonna be more sensitive. So they call them tinks. And I've never even heard that term before. But then they are like, it is every ridiculous physical caricature you have ever heard or seen about dwarfism embodied in a video game. And I was like, Vicky and I actually looked at each other. We were like,
it's one of those things where you want to look at them and be like, hey, explain the joke. Because if they have to explain the joke, the joke is that dwarfism is funny. I don't know. I mean, I get that people like Borderlands for like the combat and the loot system, and people have a really fun time with it. Like I definitely respect that. I'm not going to get on the train and tell you not to enjoy your favorite games, but I think there's a lot of problematic elements, like everywhere from just kind of it's not really funny to that's really not funny that I've seen just in the brief amounts that I played of those games. So I don't know, maybe like worth considering, I guess.
Justin actually said something. Justin asked a question in chat, or at least he made a statement in chat directed at Imran. Imran said the Rick and Morty gun is guarded by guys named Brick and Bordy. And Justin, you said, I don't know if that's a joke or not. It's not. It's guarded by two guys named Brick and Bordy.
Here's the thing, like this summer, I ended up not quite having the time to do it, but I was going to play through all of the Borderlands games and kind of, revisit them. And I only got through the first one because I didn't have time to play through all of Borderlands 2 and then pre-sequel and stuff. But like there's stuff that's not great. Like on top of all the dwarfism stuff, like literally on the character select screen, I wanted to play as the Siren in Borderlands 1. And like there was a make me a sandwich joke on the character select screen when you highlight the one female character. Like, I mean, it comes from a character that's supposed to be a real asshole, but like on the character select screen, it's really frustrating. But then, like, especially in Borderlands 2, and kind of continuing into the DLC, I've kind of gone to bat for some of the writing, because especially in some of the DLC, like Tiny Tina was a character I hated in the main game, and then they really did a lot with that character in one of the DLCs, and it was actually a really touching, well-written story. And like Handsome Jack is something I give a lot of credit for. So like, it's really frustrating to see that, because I haven't played the game myself yet, but I've seen a lot of clips from, Borderlands 3, and like having played Tales from the Borderlands, which was done by Telltale, we've seen that Borderlands can be smarter without losing its identity, and it can be extraordinarily funny. I think Tales from the Borderlands is one of the best comedy games there is out there. I was in tears laughing so hard when I played that game.
If you only played that and thought, I want to play Borderlands because I want more of this, you're going to be very disappointed.
Gives you a bad frame of reference for the whole series.
Yeah. So, but then like it's Borderlands 3 feels like the straw man writing that people say Borderlands 2 had, which is really, really frustrating to see it regress on that front, because I really thought that they, had an opportunity, and like another dev team has kind of shown them, hey, do it like this, and like it still felt like Tales still felt very Borderlands.
I guess like we should move on because we're running long on time. But Justin, you're making a good point. But like, I guess the last thing I'll say, and then we can move on. Of course, I'm deciding I can be the last one, I guess. But like, I guess what's frustrating is like, it's been so many years now between Borderlands 2 and this, that I feel like for me to feel like it's worth coming back to, you would need to say, hey, we have a reason why we want to come back to this. We want to change some things or do something interesting. And so like to hear like, yeah, the gunplay is the same but a little bit better, and the humor is the same, is like, so why make this game if it's just like an incredibly iterative experience?
I can confirm to you.
It prints money.
It's Borderlands 2.5. If you like Borderlands 2, you'll like it's more Borderlands. That's
don't get me wrong. Like I'm not blind to like the capitalist part of games. I just mean like from the art perspective, if like you're going to like put your years of your life into making this thing that's art, like why? And like listen, there's talented designers who work on this game. There's talented people all across the team that make this game. There's just a couple bad actors within it. But like it's just frustrating to see something so iterative and so unnecessary and make so many missteps.
But I mean, sorry, I know you're trying to move on, but
no, you're good.
They're like super aware of that. I mean, they said that at the reveal event. They said, this is more Borderlands. This is more of what you love. It's everything. It's literally their pitch was, with the whole microtransaction gap aside, was exactly what the game turned out to be. More Borderlands, more of the stuff that you love. And every review that I've seen has been, if you like the other Borderlands, you're gonna like this. It's just more of that. And honestly, I haven't looked at any sales charts recently, but I'm gonna go out on a limb and imagine that it's gonna sell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, money, whatever.
I mean, podcasts that talk about politics and video games probably aren't the audience for fucking Borderlands. So let's move on.
So, no.
Here's the thing: I wanted more Borderlands with better writing. But I didn't get that part. Like, I'm somebody that sometimes does kind of take issue with we need to innovate every time, but like when there's obvious ways you can improve and then you just don't, it's frustrating. All right, well let's move on. What is our next topic?
Zach, where do you want to take us first, man, on this roadmap?
I mean it's broad, but I think that we should just hit on it's been a big week for game subscriptions. We touched on earlier with Sinai Wild Hearts. Apple Arcade has launched, which is a pretty cool bundled service. It's not unlike Xbox Game Pass, which also had a big week. With some new games being added, but also just Gears 5 seems to be doing pretty decent numbers for Game Pass. But then in addition to that, we're also going to talk about Stadia, because Stadia's been back in the headlines with its Founders. I mean, a little bit with its Founders Edition and its Premier Edition and some of the stuff that goes around that. Does anybody want to? Where's the good entry point? Is it Apple Arcade? Is that the most significant thing that we should start on?
Yeah, I mean
think
that
Apple
launched.
Arcade is probably Apple Arcade launched. I think maybe aside from the fact that it launched and has a bunch of really cool games, I think there's like some interesting conversations sort of floating around it. So one of them is the fact that Apple seems to have a really like interesting product here at minimum, but they don't seem to quite understand what to do with it. Like their reveal event for the release date, they showed like 3 games, and Sayonara Wild Hearts is fantastic, but the other 2 we were kind of like, okay. And then we all went to the Apple Arcade website and saw this huge like list of all these real, like Square Enix has something on there, Us2 Games has stuff on there, like all these really big publishers have stuff on there, and all the video game people are like, wait, what the hell? Like, why didn't you show all of this? Sorry, I'm let you, Justin. And then
I just have a question, because like, is there a full list of stuff that's on Apple Arcade? Because like, it seemed like it was just a side note, but like they're launching with Sayonara Wild Hearts, Overland, Mutazione, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, Jenny LeClue, and a whole lot of other things that like looked really cool. Like
a new game from the Monument Valley people looks really good.
I'm in the middle of updating my phone right now, so I can actually sub to Apple Arcade, because for me, like, a subservice for a lot of really cool indie games or retro games and stuff is actually more appealing than I think like a AAA subservice.
It is. I want to get to that, but I want to finish on Apple's
Sorry, go ahead. Sorry, I was getting off.
They did 2 other really weird things with their rollout. The second thing is they did a beta for, I think, people who have a certain version of iOS 3 days early, which sounds great and all, except they didn't apparently tell any of their developers or publishers they were doing this. Like a couple of the, like the Sayonara Wild Hearts people straight up said it. I've heard from a couple of other PR folks that our people didn't know. It just happened.
They were mad too, because like they weren't even sure if it was the final version of the game, because they had submitted several patches and like updates and stuff that would be transparent. Nobody would actually see it before it went up, so they didn't even know if it was the final build of the game or anything.
Yeah, and so then the third thing they've done that I actually just saw this evening is in their announcement for this, they said it was going to launch with over 100 games. I think it was, I have to pull it up here, I think it might have been Pocket Gamer Biz did look at it, and pretty sure it's only in the 70s somewhere. I mean, that's still a good chunk of games, but that's also a lie. So real interesting rollout, Apple, for a service that honestly, as Justin said, looks appealing on many fronts. I mean, it is, I don't have iOS, it's a walled garden within a walled garden, as someone on Twitter said today. Like, so it's frustrating. But like, I mean, the games look good. Yeah. $5 a month.
Well, it's like one of those things where like what you're describing is great. Like, there's a ton of great games in here, but like Apple launching that whatever before telling other the developers and publishers is like not a great first impression of like how Apple treating their partners on this. I really hope that Apple's gonna be better about treating their games, but
it might have even. I'm not even sure if it was supposed to go up. It was just an update to the beta for iOS 13. Who knows? Like, it's a weird situation.
I'm just really frustrated that Octopath Traveler spinoff is releasing exclusively on Apple Arcade. It looks great, and I really wanted something like that on Switch, and so that is kind of a bone of contention for me. What other exclusive games from like the big developers are hitting Apple Arcade? Because I know Octopath Traveler, whatever it's called,
Cappy's new game is out, right?
Yes, Cappy's games. Wait, what was their
No,
name?
it's not Overland. Shit. Fuck. It looked good.
What fucking game?
Look better than Below. Yeah, sorry.
I can't. Like, I know exactly what game you're talking. Grindstone.
Yeah,
Grindstone.
thank you.
It's Grindstone. Thank you, chat. It's Grindstone.
Let's see.
And I want to say that, I mean, there are other games that are, I mean, it's impressive.
I'm sorry.
Racing, Sayonara Wild Hearts, Lego Brawls, Where
Gungeon.
Cards Fall. Where Cards Fall is from Snowman. I'm pretty sure they're the ones who did Alta's Odyssey. That's really good. Assemble with Care is the new game from Us2. Let's see, Gameloft's got stuff on here. Konami's got Frogger and Toy Town. Oceanhorn 2, Knights of the Lost Realm, looks a little bit like Breath of the Wild for some reason.
That one.
I mean, like, I just opened up the website and there's just a shit. Cat Quest 2 is on here? Are you kidding me?
I'm sorry, was that Cat Quest?
Cat Quest 2, the sequel.
You don't know about Cat Quest?
No.
Cat Quest is on Switch, dude. It's wholesome.
It's apparently very good.
This seems like something I should know about. I like Cat.
It's like
I mean,
Zelda,
like literally,
but-
like you
Yes.
open the Apple Arcade like homepage, and a bunch of games just scroll past, and they all either look really gentle and nice or interesting, or they have really good publishers or something. I don't know. It's just like it's great. Premium mobile games are fucking badass, and I really want. I want this to succeed for the developers because
Yeah.
premium mobile games. I mean, I have skepticism about whether or not it will succeed, and I don't know what their revenue model is. I know a lot of people have speculated on it, but I haven't heard anyone actually confirm as to what the payout method for devs is. I want it to do well for them because premium mobile games have the hardest fucking time in this like free to play world. It's just a disaster. And I want to see more of these premium games do well because I want my hope is that they get enough payout for this. And this is like, I mean, it's not quite the Epic Game Store, but I want it to be sort of a security blanket. So more developers look at this and say, okay, well, if I go on there, I'll get like some kind of guaranteed amount of revenue, and I can maybe do something a little riskier, a little weirder, and then it'll pay off for them. And the subscription service, you know, one of those good things. That's what I want to happen.
Well, and like building on what Reb's saying, like I'm kind of hoping that people who make these premium experiences on mobile, who often get their games cloned like 2048 and 3s, like I'm hoping that with Apple Arcade potentially there'll be more protection for developers who have their work basically copied and ripped off and they lose revenue. I don't know if that will mean Apple will take a more active role, but I would hope, right?
Yeah.
Maybe no.
Sorry, I
Hey,
was getting hydrated. I agree with
No.
you. Justin raising his hand.
It's fine. No, I want to give a quick shout out to. I actually want to give a shout out. Well, one to Hypothetical Velociraptor, subscribed to Tier 1 for 3 months. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much. And then also to Goofbert, who I just realized is Look at Me Go from Twitter. And if you guys follow him, he's fucking awesome. So, dude, it's been a long time since I'm so glad you're here. That's fucking outstanding. But thank you again to Hypothetical Velociraptor.
Yes.
I'm 3 beers in now, so and they're all like 10% alcohol. So you know
It's hard enough to deal with velociraptors when they're not hypothetical.
Velociraptor. Hypothetical Velociraptor.
Justin, you had your hand raised.
Hold on, Reb. What was that noise?
Oh, nothing.
Okay.
That was actually me.
There must be a velociraptor in here somewhere. I don't know.
Is that what they sound like?
Oh, I don't know. I'm certain I don't know.
What they sound like?
Anyway, just kind of bouncing off the point that Reb made. So I've been actually like dabbling in a bunch of mobile games recently. People that follow me will have seen my progress in Idle Human. But so a lot of these games, like especially now, we've kind of moved past that the like horrible energy systems into we're gonna show you ads every 10 to 15 seconds that you play.
No.
And like some games have like, you know, you can pay $3 to, you know, get rid of ads, which for a couple I have, but like I'm really hoping Apple Arcade succeeds so that people actually pay attention to the premium games and demand them more them more, because some of these games are really fun. I immediately deleted them because they were selling that like you couldn't do anything without just continual ads.
Yeah.
Like it's ridiculous. Like there's one game I was playing where each like round lasted 5 to 10 seconds with a 30-second ad between it. And it's like,
Oh my god.
No.
I'm not going to
Hard no.
Jesus Christ.
keep playing this.
You're spending more time on ads than game at that point.
Is there an
and, like,
option?
also, I'm
so-
also somebody that has like limited data on my plan, and like I can't be streaming audio and video for all these fucking ads like when I just want to play a game, like when I'm on a break at work.
Is there a pay to play option, like you pay X amount of dollars?
Some games have that, some do not.
Yeah.
It depends on the developer and depends on the publisher.
Yeah.
So-
So I think
No, Reb, I'm sorry. Go ahead, please.
the other two things that I want to make sure that we note about this is actually one of them is what Glorious War just brought up in chat, is that Google is not just rumored, but Google has actually confirmed that their Play Pass thing that was kind of floating around is real. We don't really have any details about it, but it seems to be a rival to Apple Arcade. So sans any details, I love the look of Apple Arcade. I think the big problem with Apple is that their phones are too fucking expensive. And so I would love a poor man's Apple Arcade for me and my little Android phone. So I'm really hoping that service is comparable in some way. The other thing that I wanted to bring up is that I think Apple Arcade will be really, really good for families. You can have it on up to 6 devices at once, no ads, no microtransactions, and I don't know a lot about Apple's parental control system, but they do have some form of parental controls. Like, there's been a big issue in the industry lately talking about loot boxes and microtransactions with the specific thought that they affect kids in a very particular way. Because a kid picks up has a tablet, they get a free mobile game. Little kids don't understand money. And parents don't always understand video games. So
little kids seeing that many ads too, it's just kind of going off that point. It's like between it, you see ads for other mobile games that are also ad supported, and it's just like ads to sell you more ads to sell you more ads.
I'm going to point out that in the broadcast industry, we are mandated by the FCC to only air like X total minutes of advertising during children's programming. There is a hard cap on that in broadcast television.
Funny,
because it is known that you can be incredibly predatory in your advertising in stuff marketed to children, and there is no equivalent within the mobile gaming market.
So anyway, I think it's a really good opportunity for parents to have this service that they can feel comfortable. They pay $5 a month. I don't encourage parents to be hands off with their kids and games, but they have a slightly more comfortable feeling that when they hand the tablet off to their kid, they know the kid is playing one, games that they're fine with because there's presumably some sort of parental controls, and two, they're not actually just going to spend a bunch of money.
So, unless anybody's got anything else with Apple Arcade, I kind of want to take Reb's point about Google having its rival to this as a chance for us to move over to Stadia. Because I think the two are probably going to be pretty tightly interlinked. Does that sound about right to you guys too?
Oh, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. I mean,
I don't know. That's interesting. I don't know.
No, I mean, I would have to. I mean, this is my speculation is that if you're trying to sell, so Google Stadia's whole thing was that you don't have to have a piece of hardware, but you'll still be buying a $60 game, right? You're still going to be buying, you're still going to be buying Doom for $60. But, with their Game Pass equivalent, perhaps there will be some tiers in there that will allow you to play games in a similar way to Apple Arcade or Xbox Game Pass. But, I don't know. That's purely speculation.
Well, the Google Stadia news that I think you were referring to originally this week is that the Founders Edition is sold out in Europe and nearly sold out in the US, UK, and Canada.
Right.
I think that's mildly interesting. We don't really know how many they had originally, so that could mean a lot of different things. They're replacing it with a Premier Edition that's the same cost, but it's missing some shit. It doesn't have the Buddy Pass. It doesn't have a few other things. But yeah, they're doing that. And I also learned today that apparently, I didn't know this. Apparently, I just missed the information somehow. Apparently, the only way you get in at launch in November is if you buy the Founders or Premier Edition. Like, when it launches in November, you can't... Like, I thought you could, when it launched, you could just pay $9.99 and get it for a month. That's what I thought. Apparently, that's not the case.
Really?
Yeah.
That's an interest. So if you don't want the what's it called, Reb, the Pro Edition?
Yeah, you can eventually. They said that. Well, we don't know. It could the PR person said that it's not going to be at launch. So that could mean fucking anything. We don't have a release date for Founders or Premiere. It's sometime in November. So this could mean anything from Founders and Premiere launch November 1st and the regular Pro subscription launches the next day. Or it could mean it doesn't launch till 2020. Like, we don't know. And I think that's kind of weirdly obfuscating, right? Like, you're trying to encourage people to pre-order the service on the basis that they're going to get it before everybody else. And if you want to play at launch, like I'm looking at it right now, I don't have the money to get Stadia Pro, but imagine that I did and was able to kind of spend that money. I'm looking at it, I want to play at launch. I'm thinking, okay, well, the only way I'm going to play at launch is if I spend $130 on it, but then the next day they just launch Pro.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very weird. I don't know what's going on.
Everything with Stadia's launch and pricing model, it just confuses me because when they first pitched it, it sounded like it could actually potentially be a fairly disruptive thing. Being able to play, big AAA games without having to buy hardware. But, I don't know what market there is to pay full price to stream games that isn't willing to buy, separate hardware. Like, it just, I don't know where the target market is for this, because a lot of people that are, hardcore about games are concerned about input lag and image quality, and also, hey, I don't want to pay $60 and not be able to play it locally. But I also don't know where that casual audience is that's willing to pay $60 to play the new Assassin's Creed without being willing to buy a console.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. My biggest thing with Stadia has always been that, like, I think that, especially in the digital era between Switch and lower end models of Xbox One, the barrier to entry to get a console that can also do, that can also be your Netflix machine or whatever, is actually quite a bit lower than it used to be. But $60 for a single item is probably a lot to justify for a family, right? But if, like, I don't know. I mean, like, literally one game is a fourth the cost of an Xbox One now, which is, like, kind of a lot to ask. Like, I don't know. And I still have problems with, like, you're paying $10 a month just to have 4K on top of it. So, and then if you stop paying for that, your games that you originally bought at 4K aren't at 4K anymore. I don't know.
What's up, John?
So I actually have a question for Zach, since he's our resident Xbox. So I don't know who had mentioned it, but somebody had mentioned or popped the idea that Apple Arcade was positioning itself as a competitor of sorts to Google Stadia. But wouldn't a more apt I heard somebody say that, but wouldn't a more apt comparison be Microsoft's xCloud, which I think has the potential to blow Stadia out of the water if it plays its cards right?
What are we
Wait.
comparing?
Yeah.
Apple Arcade and Google's Play Pass are probably going to be
Yeah.
competitors.
I mean,
Google Stadia might be trying to xCloud might be coming in to rival Stadia.
yes.
That's what I mean, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't say they're the same. So, like, yeah, I wouldn't say they're totally the same, John. But I would say that, like, yeah, Stadia's cloud stuff would probably potentially have some crossover with what is Xbox calling it? xCloud right now?
xCloud.
Yeah, we don't know. It'll probably
That's
have
like
some-
its project name.
Project xCloud.
Yeah. I mean, they're similar. I would say that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would say Microsoft is probably poised to do better because they've already got that install base. They have
I would
Xbox
agree.
Game Pass and they have loyalty with publishers.
If they put Game Pass on it, I think they will, but we don't know. That's speculation.
Oh, you think they'll put? I'm sorry, you're saying that, Reb? You think they'll put Game Pass on Stadia?
No. My theory is that whatever Microsoft rolls out for its cloud service, whatever, they will find some way to pair it with Game Pass, and I think if they do that, they will destroy Google because there's already a fucking library there. But I don't know.
Yeah, I would guess the same thing, Reb. I would say that, especially when you're selling something called Game Pass Ultimate that's $15 a month, I cannot imagine not including some of those offerings with your xCloud. I don't think xCloud will be free, but we'll see. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a tough thing, John, and I don't know if there's one-to-one, and it's hard to say because Xbox is similar to Google in that they're only doing beta testing for xCloud this year, but they will not be pay gating that. It's like based on insider rings that anybody can sign up for.
No, that's totally fair, man. All right.
Yeah.
Speaking of Microsoft, Zach, do you want to move us on to our next Microsoft topic? Because I think we got another one to talk about, right? It's the way they're reporting their.
I just want to throw in one single concluding sentence. I think it's really
please.
funny that we have Apple and Google both trying to enter like subscription stuff all of a sudden and doing a real weird marketing job about it. Like, I don't know. That's I guess that's the tie together between the two of them. I don't know.
You're right, Rev.
Continue.
It's there's a lot of wires being crossed there. It's
weird time.
I think just that point, I think in gaming, like, you really kind of have to have an established brand. I think Apple and Google are kind of counting on, hey, we're Apple and Google. People will buy things when we do it. I think among gaming, like in gaming, you kind of have to have that established name in gaming before people will really trust you with it.
So it's this news kind of rides. So first on like Monday or Tuesday, Microsoft came out and said Gears 5 had like the biggest Xbox IP launch since Halo 4 in 2012. Halo 4 in 2012, which is a pretty big deal for them. I mean, but their metrics for counting that are kind of weird and fuzzy. and speaking of weird and fuzzy metrics, that seems to be Microsoft's new angle for how they're going to be reporting who's engaging with their content, and how if you thought it was hard to track how many people were playing Xbox before and how many people are on Xbox Live, it's only going to get worse. Justin, I knew that you kind of had some big concerns about this. Do you kind of want to tell people like what they're doing and why that might be problematic to a consumer, if it is at all?
So, I mean, this is just more. I have trouble understanding a lot of business stuff. We've been having discussions talking about, Game Pass and how it impacts Microsoft's bottom line and stuff. And I've seriously just been asking questions because I don't know how the math works. So for me, I really like it when the businesses release good breakdowns of where they're making money. And especially because Microsoft is moving towards a lot of services that are kind of unique to Xbox or new in the gaming market. I want to see what's being successful, see how people that play on Xbox are receptive to them, see if maybe, hey, are these expanding the audience a little bit. And right now this generation, for reasons we all know, they've gotten very far away from sharing hardware numbers, which was unsurprising, but also, annoying if you're trying to follow sales. And then they went from subscriber numbers to monthly active users. And now it looks like we won't even be getting separate Game Pass subscribers, live subscribers. It's all just going to be lumped into just one Xbox services or something.
Yeah.
I think it's not even going to have separate digital or physical game sales. I think all game sales are going to be lumped in that as well. It's just going to be, this is what Xbox is making. So it's going to be really hard to see how it's do people on Xbox spend more on Game Pass and not as much on other games? Do they spend on live? We're not going to be able to break those kind of things down to see where they're going and see if some of these initiatives they're working on are working or not. So, I mean, that's just kind of a bummer for me, especially as somebody that does have difficulty, translating, because Microsoft's marketing speak is astounding. And so trying to get over that and, with them further obfuscating numbers and stuff is just annoying.
It's a general frustration for me, especially as someone who writes about B2B shit. Zach actually asked me if I'd talk about this, and I have not. I saw the news about Xbox, but I haven't actually. What I wanted to do is I wanted to look at it and say, okay, what numbers were they reporting? What does this mean now? And actually give some sort of thoughtful response. I didn't have time today, so I can't speak to specifically what this means. But I think looking at the industry in general over the last, even just the last, I've only been doing this for a year and a half. I did consumer journalism for a few years before that. Even just over that short period of time, I've noticed a move towards fewer concrete numbers and more vague things oh, we had X amount of downloads, which on a free game, which doesn't mean anything, or, the gradual movement from unit sales to things like monthly active users and stuff like that. And then even more vague things oh, our engagement was triple what it was over this period. We were looking, I think Gears 5 posted some stats last week or something. And we were talking about them in our work Slack and how, yeah, they were kind of useful, but the periods they were comparing didn't seem to be equivalent. And there were some other fuzzy things about them that didn't quite make it a helpful way to talk about the numbers. It's very frustrating that we can't really get, even things like the NPD. The NPD is one of the most concrete, sales bits that we have that's consistent over a period of time. But whenever you look at it, you see a bunch of asterisks and stuff, because some people don't report digital sales, some people don't report PCs, some people don't report this or that. We do charts for the EMEA, it's Europe, Middle East, Africa, help me, Australia, that region, sorry, I forgot the acronym. but we do those charts, and we have a problem where we report them every week, and then the following week we look back at the previous week's numbers for comparison, and all the rankings are different than they were when we reported them last week. And we're like, wait, why did that happen? It's because a bunch of people turned their shit in late, like Ubisoft didn't get its shit in, and so Tom Clancy's whatever was actually at number 3 when it wasn't actually on the chart last week. And so everything moved down, and now our article's inaccurate, but we can't keep going back and editing like every single article like into infinity because someone finally submitted their numbers. Like it's just it's a mess, and data in the industry is a mess, and I'm very frustrated that Microsoft is now contributing to the fuzziness of data.
Yeah.
Thank
Reb,
you
you're
for letting me
fucking
rant about that. That was my
Reb,
opinion.
Reb, Microsoft isn't really starting to contribute to that. I
know.
I remember some of their updates were just like, oh, X million locusts were killed in Gears 4 this weekend and stuff like that, where it was just random data points for games.
People ate, like 5 million people ate sandwiches while playing Gears of War. But hasn't this been the direction that Microsoft has been trending?
They've been doing this shit for a long time, even before that, John. Like even if you look at like Halo 5 Guard, one of the metrics they turned in was how much money they made off of the intellectual property during a period of time, but that also included console unit sales, controller sales that were tied to Halo. They've been doing that shit forever.
Well,
they really have.
This is just the move. This is just like almost kind of completing the move of Xbox to a service as opposed to just like a singular box on your television, right?
Right. It's kind of like how Netflix isn't gonna tell you how the new season of Mindhunter is doing, like raw numbers wise. They're just gonna tell you if it's healthy or not, and like you're just gonna take their word, and like it's gonna be ambiguous, and that's honestly that's probably even a more generous Microsoft's doing.
It's also another really good example of that is, and I'm talking out of my ass here because I don't have it in front of me, but World of Warcraft, Blizzard's been doing this for World of Warcraft. So Warlords of Draenor was the last expansion they reported player counts for. They stopped doing that largely because Warlords of Draenor was shit and they lost a lot of players. After that, they started reporting things like, oh, this launch saw a 130% increase in players at launch. But when you don't have what the original number was, you have nothing to compare it to, so that doesn't actually mean anything. And you don't know what period they're reporting over. You don't know, like there could have been other factors in there. You don't know if they're talking about people subscribed or people who were just logged in. Like there are so many, or even accounts. Like there are so many factors in there that looking at that, like people will report that down and they'll be like, oh, it was a big success. But we look at that and we're like, we don't know. It doesn't mean anything. And then they go on to pile more numbers on top of that. So then the next launch will be like, oh, it was 50% better than 130% better than unknown. Like
it's like
that's
getting
the fucking state of data. I'm so annoyed by it.
It's like talking about how you got a 12% raise and not mentioning that you only make $10 an hour at Walmart. Like, 12%'s a good raise in most industries if your base wages aren't sad. I mean,
right.
So I've actually got a very, very special announcement for our chat.
You gonna lick that slime?
What's that?
You gonna lick that slime, bro?
Why not?
Okay, here we go.
I'll fuck it. At this point, fuck it. If it gets me views.
I hate that.
These people are already viewing us.
You just said that out loud.
Wait, that didn't really come out the way I wanted it to.
What's this announcement? Announcement?
Here's the announcement.
If he licks anything, I'm leaving. I just
I'm not gonna lick anything.
Announcement: John is licking me.
It's so. It looks like, as long as all the stars align, next Thursday we are launching our brand new SDGC emote. The long requested fuck barrel is coming to SDGC as an emote.
I don't even remember what that is.
I wasn't here for it. I have no idea what
Mario
it
Kart
is.
8 stream.
We are all in the fuck barrel next
Someone
Thursday.
told a story. I don't even know.
It came from me.
It was quite funny
story.
at the time.
I'm sure.
There was something about like a vegan pirate. I don't.
And as a special, if Anthony Agnello, who is in chat right now, sends me apparently what is a picture of him with a Rosalina amiibo in his mouth.
No, we're not doing
I
that
will
one.
also make that amiibo.
We're not doing that one.
No, we are no.
We're not doing that one.
Oh, you guys. Oh,
John, if you play stupid games, you are gonna win some stupid prizes.
John plays stupid games on this show.
I already play stupid games. I've been playing Borderlands 3 this week. What else are we talking about?
Yeah, what else are we talking about?
Are
Do
we
we have
gonna-
another? Is there another topic? It's been kind of like it's been a weird week, right? Like there have been like, and now everybody in chat just wants more licking.
No, we're done
Don't
licking.
retire.
I mean,
we've-
what else am I licking, guys? Like, what about Mario?
No, don't lick Mario,
Okay.
please.
Should I lick Mario?
He's a plumber, and that's
Well,
asking
I mean,
for actual hepatitis.
there is some news about news we're getting next week.
I mean, the news is that I should lick Mario, right?
What's the news, Justin?
Sony has announced that they are doing a state of play.
Oh, cool.
Next
Another-
Tuesday.
Another 20 minutes of nothing? Cool.
And it's 20 minutes. And I don't think it is a coincidence that it is on the same day as press is getting hands-on with The Last of Us Part 2. Just in time for the Outbreak Day, which is September 26th in the game world. September 26th, 2013, in the world of the game, which Naughty Dog has been making a bigger deal of the past few years. So it's been over a year since we've seen anything from that game.
There's gonna be
so-
it's gonna be a blowout.
Can
I've been so busy with FF7 remake like hype. I didn't even realize it's been that long.
And
Oh,
also,
yeah, absolutely, Brandon.
can I have a cynical question? I gotta field one.
Have you ever asked a
why are
non-cynical
we?
question?
Why are we have like? Listen, I'm excited for that. I have a lot of confidence that game will be good. Why are we having press come play that game for 3 hours, like 6 weeks before press could be playing Death? Like, why are we having something for Death Stranding? Why isn't this happening?
Probably because Kojima is still working on Death Stranding.
Okay,
and-
and that's fine. That's fine. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, that's
I
a
mean,
good question.
Because
I
my
mean, the
shit-
Is The
my-
Last of Us out this year?
It does
No,
not
I-
have a release date.
No.
So I assume it's
guarantee
early
you,
next
Ab,
year.
That's when they're gonna drop the release date, and it's gonna be February. That's my
February?
prediction.
Oh, dude. The Last
Sony
of Us
almost
in
always
February.
releases something the last week in
Can
February.
you imagine though, The Last of Us in February and then Final Fantasy in March? Like, what the fuck?
I
God.
can't fucking handle that shit. And it looks like Anthony agrees. Like February. I feel like somebody on this podcast had speculated that it might be pushed to May, and I don't know if I agree with that.
There were rumors that it might have gotten bumped.
I think that's
but
pushing
I
it
think-
too close
I
to
think
the
that-
PS5, Zach.
I
No,
doubt.
yeah.
I doubt they're doing a 3-hour hands-on for a game that far away. That's not Sony's usual.
Right.
That's not Sony's usual approach. I mean,
No.
there could potentially be a last-minute delay if they need it because Sony is open to those for some of their big titles.
I mean, if it was a Square
happened with
Enix
the
game,
original.
absolutely.
It happened with the original. It happened with the original Last of Us. Just a couple weeks before launch, they bumped it
I
6 weeks.
remember that.
Yeah. It happened with God of War. So I mean, there's potential that
Yeah,
there
The
could
Last
be
of Us one
another-
came in hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually agree with Anthony's assessment that it's probably February or March to line up at the end of the fiscal year, especially if they're doing PS5 or whatnot next year. Last
Yeah.
of Us will probably be the last big. That and Final Fantasy will be the last big.
So,
Yeah.
but Reb, here's the thing though. Here's the thing. If The Last of Us and Final Fantasy VII are the last big for
Thank you for that. Thank you.
I did that specifically for you.
I appreciate it.
If those are the last big kind of blowouts for PS4, what happens to Ghosts of Tsushima?
Next
That's a
gen.
cross-gen.
PS5.
That's a
PS5.
that's a
PS5 game.
That's
Oh, yeah.
getting the Halo Infinite treatment,
100%.
where it is
Or is it
going to come
cross-gen?
out on PS4. It's going to come out on PS4.
Technically,
but
every
they are
game's
gonna
going to be
market it-
cross-gen.
Oh
Well,
yeah.
technically, yeah. But
You know, Death Stranding's gonna get some like complete edition on the
Oh, yeah.
PS5 that comes with like a baby.
Your baby wears sunglasses in that version.
A living
What?
baby.
Just
Well,
it comes
no,
in an
but
Is this
embryonic
Spidey
sack.
2 launch title?
But-
Anthony,
But
Anthony, you're pulling
what
it.
what Justin was saying is absolutely right, and Justin, I'll let you finish that thought. So
I don't remember what
you
I was
were,
saying.
you were just saying no, it's okay. You were saying that it's gonna be a cross-gen thing where it will
Oh,
be
yeah.
like
Ghost of
it makes-
Tsushima is,
Yeah.
I think, absolutely going to be
There's-
like this. The
Yeah.
same thing as Halo Infinite, where
Yeah.
it is going to be shown as a PS5 title. They're going to market it as a PS5 title. It
they'll-
will come out on PS4.
Yup.
But it's going to be treated as like the big AAA launch title.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so here's my question for the entire group then, right? What drink will Ghost of Tsushima partner with to promote it? Like is it
What?
gonna be White
It's
Claw?
Nas.
Is
Oh.
It's absolutely
It's like a-
bang.
It's
Like,
gotta be
oh.
sake, right?
is it
No.
well no, like it can't be
No, someone explain the joke.
So
It's-
because
it's a joke
Monster
about
Energy
Monster
is
Energy and
part of
Death
Death
Stranding.
Stranding. Wait,
Reb,
Reb,
have you
how?
seen the pictures of Reb, Monster Energy is how you
Oh.
regain your health in Death Stranding.
Wait,
You didn't know
Reb,
that?
have you missed this?
Reb
You missed this,
was
Reb?
out of town
Oh,
last
shit.
week
Was
and
this-
missed this.
Reb,
Was this
Reb,
when I had
Reb,
Twitter
Reb.
turned off? No, hold
Reb.
on. Hold on. Was this when I had Twitter turned
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
off? Why? When I came back to Twitter, I specifically asked you all to tell me what I missed. And
Oh, I
I
can't
got
believe
like a couple of dog
I can't
memes.
believe
Oh.
we didn't
Why
let
didn't
Reb
you?
know
Okay,
this.
go
So
ahead, Zach.
so two things. One, so Monster Energy is everywhere in the game. It is how you boost your. It is
Are
how
you
you boost your
shitting me?
stamina.
This is real? You
Not
are
even
It's
not
joking.
real.
with me right
It's
now.
real. Okay,
Reb,
at TGS,
I will-
hang on.
I will
Reb, look it
hang
up
on.
right now.
The booth at TGS had no Sony branding. It was just cans of Monster Energy that were like giant inflated.
This
It's
is
incredible.
a giant fucking
It-
prank. You are
No,
all
no,
pulling
no.
this shit.
Here's
I'm
the thing.
Googling this
Google it.
shit.
Google it right now.
Here's
Reb,
the
This
thing.
is
Reb, you get
We
a
were
canteen.
making Killy jokes all day.
Yep.
Reb,
Now,
you get a canteen in the game, and when you put water in the canteen, it converted into Monster Energy.
if it was anybody else besides Kojima, everyone would be laughing. Kojima were like, all right, no, it seems fine.
This
No,
tracks.
it's awful. Now, Reb, also they revealed that your grenades in that game are your piss in a grenade, and you throw your piss.
No,
It's your
not
gamer girl
piss.
bath
No,
water.
It's
your bath
it's the
water.
liquid that comes off of you when you shower.
It's
Get
your
it
bath
right.
water.
Reb is
You say it like it's so much better, but like, I mean,
I don't
guess
think
it's
this
not
is
your-
real. I
No,
don't
Reb,
actually
it's
think
real.
this is real.
Reb, it's 100%
I'm not
real.
finding it on the
Your
internet.
canteen
Reb,
turns
Reb,
water into
I'm trying to
monster, and
figure
you
out
throw
how to
bath water
It's
send
grenades.
you a
200% real.
Show
Reb,
her
Reb,
the booth.
Reb, your bath water is used for grenades in the game.
Not yours specifically, but Norman Reedus' bath water.
Norman
Norman
Reedus.
Reedus' bath
Their
water.
TGS
is a-
booth had a monster can the size of the booth.
Anyway, there.
It was
Anyway,
like 15 feet tall.
Just one thing, Reb. There are people who still think this game is gonna be good. So,
It's gonna be amazing.
Listen.
No.
Yeah,
Listen.
we already had this
I-
conversation.
Oh, Reb, by the way, you can choose whether or not you want to use the bathroom standing up or sitting down at any
Yup,
at
you
any time.
sure can.
Yeah.
I got one thing. That everyone is chuckling about the fact that if you aim the camera at Norman Reedus' crotch too much, he covers it and then eventually gets mad and he punches the
He
camera.
punches.
And
That's just
everyone's
like
real
Nier
great about that.
Automata.
And I just want to point out this is from the same exact dude who needed to make an almost entirely naked woman dance in front of you in a helicopter
The irony
all the
is
time.
not lost on me, Derek.
And naked dance in the rain. So I'm
Hey.
glad that you're worried about privacy when it comes to men and not women.
Reb, look in the chat. Reb, look in the chat and click that.
I was
click
not
that
ashamed
link
of my
you got
words and
from
deeds.
John.
Derek, please. We were told by Kojima that she has a skin condition, and that's why Quiet dressed the way that she does.
Yeah.
I'm still not finding.
And that's
where
why
is
you
this
can get an
in the
outfit.
Reb, I sent
Wait,
you
wait.
a picture.
Okay, I saw the picture, but that could mean fucking anything.
I'll bring it
I
up.
found the thing about the eyewear.
I'll bring it up.
The thing
No,
about
I'm
eyewear?
looking at
The
Kojima
giant
Productions.
Monster
I
Energy
think all of this is a lot of bullshit.
Reb, I sent you a picture in chat about the Monster
I
Energy
see
thing.
that. Sixth axis. Why did no one else report this? Is it because it's product bullshit?
It's
Probably.
because it's Kojima, and God
Yeah.
forbid we say
Okay,
something
so-
mean.
I've got an article up here. Right, this is from
No.
Game Revolution. I don't
Guys,
know who
this
they
was
are,
like
but-
half of our last episode. I really don't
It
want to
is
get into
pretty
it again.
wild, but
Sorry,
yeah,
we
we
don't
need
have
to.
to. We can
We
go
need to slow
on.
down
I'm
on
just-
this.
Okay. All
I'm
right.
very
all right.
baffled.
All right. It's wild. It's
I'm
the most
saying
wild
it-
product placement we've seen in.
I
That's
just
all
can't
I'll say.
believe. I just can't believe that we forgot to bring Reb up to speed on that.
Yeah, I feel bad about
Yeah.
that.
I don't really
idea.
know what all your problem is, and I feel very betrayed.
I'm sorry, Reb. Like this is on me. I'm podcast dad. This is my fault.
Mm-hmm. It is.
This is my fault.
It is
I'm
his
sorry.
fault. I'm not taking responsibility on this
Shut
one.
the fuck up,
I
Derek.
showed you.
No,
Wow.
don't come after Derek.
You
I showed the clip of the dogs, and that was really important, and I provided that. So
did. You
All right,
absolutely,
hey,
absolutely did.
John, did you want to talk about your article?
Yeah, we can talk about it.
Well, you put it on the list. I don't know if you wanted to talk about it or plug it or do literally anything at all.
I mean, I wrote an article for IGN about white phosphorus in Call of Duty. And, no, I don't want to censor the fucking game. I just want to have a conversation about it, and I wish thought had been put into it, but no, I don't want to. No, I don't want to censor the game. I don't. Yeah. So everybody can fucking calm down and eat some fruit because
calm down and eat some fruit.
Like, we kind of had the conversation about that before you published the article, and like it basically just boiled down to like white phosphorus is not very commonly seen in media, and it's not great for it as something that's considered a war crime to be used as a weapon for it to be kind of so casually used as a reward in the game. Like, it's just about be thoughtful about the media you consume. Right.
And you know. for anybody who was afraid that Infinity, like I had somebody on Twitter tell me, oh, better not have fucked up Call of Duty. And I said, if the fact that you think I have that kind of power is extremely flattering.
Yeah.
So like if you honestly think that Infinity Ward even knows who I am, that's a compliment to me. So thank you. Although I can tell you right now, this is not the last article for IGN I'm writing.
Hey.
Anyway, please.
So I have many opinions on this. One of my opinions is that the article is good and you should read it. It's well written.
Well, thank you, Rob.
My other big like kind of overarching opinion here is that you've gotten a bunch of shit criticism, a bunch of people in bad faith. But a lot of people have like really extreme reactions to this, and I don't think that everybody who's had an extreme reaction to you is necessarily like bottom of the barrel Nazi. But I think people get like angry on the internet very easily. And I think one of the things I've seen a lot is people who just think, like that you want to censor the game or that you want some extreme action to be taken. And it's very weird that, video game people, like the people in that audience love to get mad about censorship. They love to get mad about, we can't, everything should be out there. We should just be able to talk about anything. But then someone writes an article that's like very well written. It's just like a criticism of a thing. Like John didn't call for the game to be censored. John didn't call for it to be taken out of the game. Basically, your call to action at the end of it was, hey, maybe the devs should like either, if they didn't have a conversation about this before putting it in, they really probably should have. And if they did, and they came to this conclusion, you'd maybe be interested to know why they came to the conclusion that this was acceptable. Like it's a criticism. We're allowed to criticize games. We're allowed to criticize lots of things in games. It's fine. And it's really weird that people are like upset that you criticize something in a game. Like, I mean, I know why. I understand like the logistics of why. But also, like, come on. He can write a fucking critical article about something.
What I've noticed, and Justin, Brandon, what was that?
I just said like nobody's played it.
That too. Yeah.
No, nobody's played it. And just to say, hey, just let me make this one quick point, Justin. What I've noticed is one, just kind of a statement. The things we love won't get better if we're not willing to criticize them and talk about them.
And there was a time where Call of Duty was a better series about things like this.
It was, Brandon.
It's gone backwards. Yeah, like that's something people should be talking about. Like, hey, remember Call of Duty 1, 2, 4? Like those games were about something.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like people act like Call of Duty has always been what it's been the past several years. When it used to actually be like a pretty transgressive and interesting series with something to say.
When it was the fucking Titanfall, like the Respawn guys doing it back then.
Yeah, absolutely.
But
Justin, real quick, I just want to make this is the really important point that I want to make. And it's one thing I've noticed is last year, does everybody remember the huge uproar about a woman on the cover of Battlefield 5?
Oh my God, there was a woman on the cover of Battlefield.
It's unbelievable, right?
Those social justice warriors.
So I was like, who gives a fuck? Who cares? Like, it's cool. There's a woman on the cover. Like, nobody should be upset about this, right? And everybody clutched their pearls and pounded on their desks and said, this isn't realistic. We need a realistic depiction of war. And there were not women on the front lines in Battlefield, in World War I. And how could you do this? What about my realism? Why can't you deliver me an authentic experience? And now, a year later, I write an article and I say, if we're going to depict white phosphorus in a video game.
It's just for fun, dude. It's
We
just
should-
for fun.
We should do it accurately, right, Brandon? And people are like, "What about my escapism, John?
My
What about my
fun.
escapism? It's just a game.
Yeah, exactly, dude. It's the same argument in reverse. Like,
Why can't I escape?" And it's like, look, you can have one or the other, but fucking pick one and
Yeah.
stick with it.
No, you're 100%
Fucking
right.
stick with it.
It's so hypocritical. It's ridiculous.
And it's fucking like for the past 48 hours, it's been driving me fucking up the wall. Like I can take all the bullshit being whatever. I have faced much worse in my life. But don't be a fucking hypocrite. Stick to your fucking guns. If you're gonna be angry about one thing and angry about a completely different thing, that doesn't fucking work because at that point it's just outrage.
Yep.
For the sake of being outraged.
Which is what
Just-
they accuse the social justice warriors of doing all the time.
Right. So just make up your fucking mind.
Make
Justin,
something.
Justin, please.
Like, and also, like with this game in particular, like I think like people were ready to cry censorship because it got around that at E3, somebody said something about the demo that they showed, and raised a point to the development team, and they said, "You know what? You made a good point. We are going to change that in the final game." And so, like, people are acting like this game has already been censored, and all it was there was just like, in one of the segments, there was like a glib line about sexual assault. Like I mean, it's a thing that actually happens in Warriors, but it wasn't handled well. And they said it comes up again later, and somebody talked to them about it, and it was like, look, this is just kind of like, it just seems like you're trying to be edgy. Like, it really didn't fit in with the scene. And they're like, oh, you know what? We're going to change those lines, and we're going to change. Like, it was just one minor little thing that they changed based off of criticism, which isn't censorship in the least. Like, if you raise a point and then the person making the thing decides you have a good point, like, that's
It's like video game developers change their games and make updates in response to community feedback, like all the fucking time.
It's like demanding that people release a rough draft because there's cut content. Like, it's just it doesn't fucking
like,
ignoring your editor or whatever.
Untitled Goose Game is not actually Goose Theft Auto. Like, they changed it in development, therefore it's been censored.
Yeah, it has. Yeah.
No, I mean, you fucking censored it. Why can't I have a goose, like beating up prostitutes and like knocking over ATMs and stuff? Like, where's my violent goose? Why can't I have a, like, why does my goose have to be sassy instead of or cheeky instead of being a hardened criminal? What about my Goose Theft Auto? And that's what people don't understand is that these games are the games we play right now. If they're not if they're original intellectual properties, the game that you are playing right now is so markedly different from the game that was designed from get-go. Like, do you remember that reveal trailer for BioShock Infinite?
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Not a bit of that was in the final game. Not one single bit. And nobody was fucking bitching about it.
Oh, people were bitching about it.
I mean,
People
I
were,
didn't
but
hear anybody
it
bitching about
was like
But
out of necessity. They had to because they're committed. Like, they didn't have their heart set to it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, I noticed it. I was like, oh, I kept waiting for that character with the mutton chops to show up, and I was like, oh, he never.
The
Okay,
rose petal power.
Yeah, and I was like, that never happened. Okay, like you had those big red banners with what's her name, Daisy, on them, and and none of that was there, and I was like, oh, okay, it was a much better, or not much better, it was a much different experience than what was sold to us, and that doesn't necessarily make it bad. It just makes it different because ideas change over time, and when we're writing when authors write stories, when script writers write scripts for films, like, things change over time. We tweak things, we change things, and that's the nature of the creative process. And it's not censorship. It's finalizing what you want your vision of the finished product to be, and saying this is, like, I don't know. It's just I'm very frustrated about the whole thing. So I'm probably just jumbling my words together. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, it's not censorship when a developer makes a design choice. It's not. It's their game to make. And if Call of Duty,
It is, however, censorship when the United States government says you can't do this or that.
Absolutely.
Like,
That is
it's different. Yeah, like the creator coming to their own
My-
conclusion about their own
My
product.
whole thing about this is like a lot of these people that are upset about it love to say they're, hyper intelligent and focused on facts and logic and refuse to learn the dictionary definition of censorship despite throwing it around all the time.
Well, it's like when people, it's like, all the free speech warriors, all the First Amendment warriors are like, my free speech, my free speech. Twitter's suppressing my free speech. I'm like, okay, so free speech is to protect you from government oppression, not from a private corporation policing their platform. Like, that's not censorship of free speech. That's just terms of service violations. That's not a free speech issue.
I'm gonna lay some hard truth down on this subject, folks.
Oh shit!
All right,
Derek?
None of the philosophy, none of the logic, none of the claims of hypocrisy in the world matter, because 90% of the people in your mentions complaining about this are not there complaining in good faith, and they're not there for a discussion. They're there to be mad, and they're there to harass you.
Derek, are you saying that just like in Assassin's Creed, nothing is true and everything is permitted?
I'm not saying that. I don't know how I get there. But what I am saying is that much like John found himself in recently, if you find yourself on the other end of the screaming horde with torches and pitchforks, right, the mob in your mentions, all of this stuff we're talking about is true about this subject, but ultimately it does not matter to discuss it with these nameless and faceless accounts on twitter.com that found you, or in your site's comment section, or what have you. It doesn't matter, because they are not there for discussion. They are not there in good faith, and all of this only matters if both parties are operating in good faith to have that discussion. The other side just wants to throw punches. So the smartest thing you can do is to do some self-care and hit that block button, baby. I introduced the crew to a blockchain extension earlier. And I went on the Quarterings page and I blocked him and almost 50,000 followers he had with the press of only a couple quick button presses.
Real good. I did the same thing.
Yeah, is it nice? You get to watch the number just tick up, tick up, tick up, tick up, and you're like,
wow.
all these people gone. Yeah,
I had 7 of them blocked.
Yeah, and
that's not nearly enough.
And the thing is, because nobody who's gonna be in your mentions because somebody like that makes a video about you or your article or your video or whatever, they're just there, on the dog whistle marching orders to cause you pain.
That's all it is. Yeah, it's all red meat for the audience.
Yeah. So it's worth knowing and understanding on an academic context, that there is hypocrisy in what they're talking about. That somebody like John is not doing what people are accusing him of doing in that article, but ultimately the academic observations about this do not matter, and the practical reality is that when you get the horde in, the single best thing you can do is just block, 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 block. And they leave you alone because they can't talk to you. It's great. They get tired. These people don't want to spend that much time making a bunch of new accounts and tracking you for days. They do it for as long as their attention span lasts, which is no time at all. And then they go back to their 12-year-old anime girls, and then they get mad at the next thing that their preferred e-celeb is mad about in a YouTube video, and they move on to the next article that they're supposed to be mad about.
I think my personal proudest, I take personal pride in certain people blocking me. And I think my proudest Twitter block is probably Sebastian Gorka.
That's a good one. You should be proud of that one.
Exactly.
Sebastian Gorka or Yui Bowl. Yui Bowl blocked me after he threatened to fight me, and that was a proud block too.
Yeah, but yeah. So in the aftermath of drama, maybe it's because you wrote an article, or maybe it's just because you used a phrase about a hot topic, and there was a bunch of very sad human beings surfing the search bar on Twitter to find all the most recent tweets that they can yell at you about it, but don't bother.
I've had a bunch of people say, "Oh, now you just convinced me to buy it." I'm like,
You were gonna buy it anyway. Fuck off. I
Yeah,
don't care.
You
Like,
convinced him
yeah.
to buy it, okay?
And
yeah.
I'm not
I
gonna
wasn't
follow up
buy
with
it
you.
until I read your shit
Yeah.
article.
I've only bought every other Call of Duty for.
I
the
don't
last
care to
10
follow
years.
up with you to find out that
Yeah,
you
this is
bought it
the
or
one-
not.
this
It
was the
doesn't
one.
matter. Like, and you're not real. You're not a real person. You might as well be a bot for all that it matters to my life. And that's not to say that there's not like, it's funny that these people use the whole NPC meme, you know, that everybody on the left is just like faceless repeating the same talking points. But ultimately, this crowd that finds its way into your mentions over and over again, you need to treat them literally like non-persons, which is not to dehumanize them and engage with them, but to treat them like noise and block them out. And that's it.
Right.
That's the smartest thing you can do.
I will say this. It had been a shitty 48 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
And reached out to me privately and told me that, you know, just made me feel better about the whole situation. So thank you, entire staff at IGN, very kind of everybody, especially Lucy O'Brien and Tina Amini, who have been extremely supportive. Very, very kind people. But XX Vape God, XX is mad at you, Zach and chat.
Yo, the vape god is right here, my dude.
Brandon is the Vape God.
Brandon is the vape god.
Vape God has podcast beef with you.
Every now and then you'll just hear Brandon.
I try to mute, but
No, I actually love it when it happens. I don't know why. It just makes. But Zach, we got anything else? We're kind of bumping up against. Oh, we're past. our
No,
time.
I'm
Yeah, we're
sleepy,
late.
John. Tomorrow's Friday. All I'll say is that thanks everybody for hanging out. Thanks again to people who help us on Patreon or subscribe here. That's really nice of you. If you
Much
can, that's nice. If
appreciated.
not, that's okay. Otherwise, I think everyone should just have a safe, relaxing weekend if they can. That's all I've got.
There are a
Drink
lot
water.
of really good video games out.
Yeah.
There are a lot of
Tomorrow's
good video
gonna be
games.
Good.
Try, if you can, try to play a really good video game this weekend.
It's.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
you've
drink
got
some
your.
water. Yeah, drink some
Drink
water.
water.
Please shout out to Kyle Gatto. Make sure you hydrate.
Drink some water,
Uh,
bitches.
And does anybody else want to do the customary sign off tonight, or am I stuck doing it?
It's not always poetry, and we don't always agree, but we always do something else.
yeah.
Justin, why don't you do it?
I'm tired, man.
Or whatever, man. Whatever. We don't agree.
I just did it. Was mine not
Folks.
good?
Wait, hold on.
But
We
you
didn't
got it
even get a
wrong,
proper-
Reb.
We didn't even have a proper intro. You at least have to do a proper outro.
No.
Do
Okay,
we
fine.
though?
Folks,
No.
we love
Good night,
you.
everyone.
We love you.
It's not always poetry,
have-
and we don't always agree, but we always keep it real. Have a good night, everyone.